bold vision for developed India by 2047. That has been the clarion call of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And to discuss all this, we have with us Subimal Bhattacharjee, IT and technology expert. He joins us with me in the studio now. Welcome, sir, to the program. Well, what we saw is very important announcements made by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The ultimate goal is to make India developed by our centenary year of independence. So all these announcements made today, Viksit Bharat, Prime Minister Rozgar Yojana, in which every youth will get 15,000 rupees upon being employed by the private sector. Your take on this very welcome scheme?
Yeah, I think every Independence Day speech that the Prime Minister has given, 11 of them, have been very motivational for a cross-section of the citizens. And particularly if you see, the youths have a special space in his, commitment and scheme of things. So if you look at this, unemployment remains always a big issue. And the changing dimensions of employment is even a bigger issue. With tech coming, with many avenues of new employment opportunities coming, how you carry the nation forward, how do you motivate people to come into newer areas from the traditional ways in which our society has evolved. Typically you would have seen that in most houses people would think, oh, either he should be an engineer or a doctor if he's good in science, or maybe become a lawyer if he's not good in science. Now how do you take people out of only that thinking and go into newer areas? So that is where I think this scheme is very, very good, because if you are seeing that in the private sector, if they are absorbing newer people and if government is trying to give them a certain kind of support or incentive, I think it gives them motivation to look at newer areas, to grow, to perform and all. So, and it's a motivator for a larger number of people who are already not in the system. So I think these are very, very, I would say, inspiring moments that we take away from the Prime Minister's speech.
Okay, let me also now welcome Professor KG Suresh, senior journalist, joining us on the show now. KG Suresh ji, Prime Minister Narendra Modi today also spoke about Mission Sudarshan Chakra, aimed at increasing safety and developing a more powerful weapon system for the nation's security. How do you see this mission and its military significance?
Absolutely, it is very significant, Tanvi, for the simple reason that during the recent conflict with our neighboring country, we saw that how our air defense systems were able to thwart any attempt by the enemy to, send missiles to this country, to target, military installations, civilian installations. None of their drones could, effectively deliver. And they all failed because we had an air defense system. But at the same time, it was felt that today, whenever you see whether it is in the Russia-Ukraine conflict or the recent conflict between Iran and Israel, or you see what is happening, between Israel and the other countries in West Asia, you find that now technology is no more about infantry. It is about, the war, the conflict is about high-end technology. And it is but natural that the Prime Minister has said that, that we are going to develop such a system which would ensure, because obviously because we have only, called for we have accepted a ceasefire. It is a ceasefire. So the Operation Sindoor is still on so far as India is concerned. And God forbid, tomorrow the enemy, because the Field Marshal Asif Munir has been making all kinds of statements resorting to tantamounting to nuclear blackmail. So the Prime Minister has referred to that also, that we will not succumb to any nuclear blackmail. But at the same time, they can, to distract domestic attention, they can resort to cheap tactics. And to thwart that, it is very essential that we secure our assets, our national assets, our nuclear arsenal, our power plants, our railways, our major infrastructure, and of course our people. So this Sudarshan Chakra is being seen largely as an air defense system, and of course supported by the call that he has made for the clarion call he has made for, preparing, manufacturing jet engines in this country, because the Prime Minister has believed in the capacity of the private sector. We have seen in the last 1 decade or so active participation of the private sector in the critical areas, including defense and space, technology. And we believe that this Prime Minister's Viksit Bharat Yojana also talks about boosting the private sector and also giving a message to the youth at large that, their entire this clamor which we have had in the initial years of independence and which is still there for government jobs. So the whole idea is also to say that, look, there are very, very innovative, creative, occupations which are available in the private sector too. And that is why the private sector is the government alone cannot be the employment provider. So the focus is on entrepreneurship, on enterprise. The focus is on, the private sector. So I think they are all interlinked, So I believe that this, I would look at this entire today's speech, which was of 103 minutes, perhaps the longest by any Prime Minister in the history of this country. I think that it was full of, our ambitious plans, the road ahead for us on our way to become a Viksit Bharat. And of course, in the short term, a lot of Diwali gifts he has announced in advance.
Indeed, indeed. Let me take this to Subimal Bhattacharjee now. Yes, a lot of, ambitious looking approach, looking at the geopolitical realities of the day. Now, as he mentioned that semiconductor chips, when they were first introduced by the previous government, the idea was killed at birth. So he wants a Made in India semiconductor chip to be launched by the end of the year. He wants Made in India jet engines. And he also wants to reduce India's energy dependence, because that is what is the concern geopolitically as of now. So is he trying to put India's economic engine in top gear now?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the focus is that how do you take advantage of the strength that is available in the country. And as Professor Suresh was also telling, even around, if you look at the way Mission Sudarshan Chakra is being, mentioned by the Prime Minister, and the capability and capacity of technology absorption, technology development in the country, I think this is the perfect time, where you are able to fuse data from so many different sources, whether from space or from your coastal security or any kind of, these devices that work on IoT and all. Now, taking in cyber security, factoring in AI, all of that, I think that's something that is very much in the anvil. And that's where semiconductor becomes very, very important. The government had already got 6 of the efforts already, functioning. 4 more were just recently cleared by the cabinet. So in a very short span of time, we are going to have this 10, semiconductor facilities across the country. It's just not confined to areas that you see technology development has happened, say Hyderabad, Bangalore, or maybe somewhere around Gurgaon. Even in Assam, much outside of Guwahati, a semiconductor plant by the Tata with an investment of 27,000 crores have come up. So he has been not only able to give the policy support, he has been also able to get the private sector also to go and invest in a huge way in these facilities. Now, once you have your own semiconductor chips, which go into all of the systems, which have their own criticality, you also then get into the other aspects of making programs and making different functionalities that work based on the algorithms on those chips. So those chips ensure your security, and at the same time, what you build in your country and run it, that also is secure. So the idea is basically to take this country to a secure ecosystem where you protect everything with a Sudarshan Chakra kind of an entity, as he has mentioned. In that, you bring your own equipments, you bring your own people, you bring your own algorithms, and that is where the focus on Atmanirbharta, on indigenous capabilities around defense, on indigenous capabilities around security systems, on indigenous capabilities around cyber security, on AI, all of these things come into play. Remember, this is a country, today 7% of its GDP is from the IT or tech sector. This is huge. What was it even 10 years back? And the way the people have been taken in to be able to use the technology, feel empowered. Look at UPI, what a story. People are not literate, but they are financially, digitally literate, because a shopkeeper right in any remote corner of the country is today using UPI. So these are the kind of thing that you are also carrying your people. So I think the whole ecosystem of taking India to the Viksit Bharat 2047, everything falls in place when you have such kind of programs. It's not ambitious, I would say, because you have the capabilities. Possibly you have islands of capabilities. The Prime Minister is connecting them all together, and that is what a government should do.
Yes, carrying people along. Professor Suresh, in his speech, Prime Minister Narendra Modi underlined that farmers, livestock keepers and fishermen are the government's top priority, and that the government will stand like a wall against any policy that threatens their interests. Would you like to contextualize this for us?
Well, absolutely. I think it is very clear, isn't it? It's a writing on the wall, when it comes to tariffs, which the United States, is imposing on us, or has hiked its tariff on Indian goods. So I believe that this is a response that no self-respecting country can accept it, and particularly India has always had a consistent stand, with regard to farmers' rights. India has, and more so the Modi government in the last over a decade or so, where, they have steadfastly refused to oblige the Western countries so far as cheap imports of dairy and other items are concerned. They never allowed India to become a dumping ground to, fatten their farmers, which we have never allowed. We have always looked at the larger interests of our farming community, our marginalized farmers. So you would see that we have, on the one hand, domestically, we are trying to boost in terms of their farm incomes, their minimum support price we are trying to give. We are trying to increase productivity. We are trying to, through soil testing and other means, we are providing them seeds. We are providing them all possible assistance to grow multiple crops in a year. Yet, at the same time, we are also protecting them from, cheap from India becoming a dumping ground for goods from other developed countries, which we have fought it hard, whether it is WTO, GATT earlier, and all that. We have fought it like anything, and we are very consistent. And this time also, I think that whether it is US or whether it is Europe, I think that India is very clear that it is its national interests are paramount with regard to even import of oil. We are very clear. On the one hand, we are certainly looking at enhancing our energy security, but at the same time, we are looking at more deep sea explorations. We are looking at, the Prime Minister also referred to critical minerals. Particularly in northeast states, there are very, very critical minerals which are available, and which we can certainly harness in terms of technology. They would be very helpful, and there is a huge demand for that even in the West. So these are areas where India is going to, so that its energy security is protected. We also ensure that whether it is oil purchasing, whether it is from Russia or Iran, we are very clear that our national interests are paramount, and we need to. Our energy security is paramount, and our people, they should not be cough up a huge amount to pay for this just to please one or two countries. That won't happen. And I think the message today was Earlier also India had reiterated that, and today the message has been made loud and clear by the Prime Minister himself from the ramparts of the Red Fort.
Yes, as it is said, setting goals is the first step in turning the invisible into visible, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi has given us a lot of ambitious goals. Of course, he has asked the youth to work towards making India developed by 2047. Would like to thank Professor Suresh Subimal Bhattacharjee for being with us and helping us understand what all has been said from the ramparts of the Red Fort today by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Thank you for being with us on the show.